All right, another comment. I've always found builders to be messy. Yes. I think site building is a messy process. Trust me. That's been my experience. You always get to a point where a site's never done. I prefer structure with paragraphs, much cleaner in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, also understand using paragraphs can be a bit of a controversial topic as well, because there was a video. I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here. There was a video a couple years ago that talked about performance issues with paragraphs, because paragraphs uses the entity reference revision. So every single time you create a revision of a node, for example, so a content type, and you have 20 paragraphs in that paragraph field, it will create a new revision for all those paragraphs. And somebody did a great presentation. I forgot their name, but I think they worked for Acquia. They did a presentation on having to deal with a website that had millions of rows, in the paragraphs table, because this site, of course, had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of content. But then when you think about it, if you have hundreds and thousands of pages and you have paragraphs and 20 paragraphs per page, for every single revision, it's going to create then a massive table. And then I had somebody contact me on Slack, on Drupal Slack, like specifically saying, you shouldn't be promoting paragraphs because there's this performance issue with paragraphs. And can you contact this person and tell them not to talk about paragraphs? And I kind of had to tell the person, I'm like, mate, if you don't want to use paragraphs, don't use it. Like there's no perfect solution. But yeah, anyway, long story short, I like paragraphs. I use it for everything. I think it's a great tool. It's a great way of adding in nested structured content. But it can get messy very quickly. Coming back to your original comment as well about, builders can be messy. You can stuff up paragraph structures pretty easily if you have a lot of nested paragraphs. And that is a huge issue that I've seen. We have like 3 or 4 levels. I've seen sites that have like 3 levels of paragraphs, and that can be a pain to deal with, especially if you're trying to write custom code that traverses the tree back up. So it's like entity, paragraph, parent. It's just messy. Yeah, see? Yeah, I can confirm that we're having performance issues because of paragraphs. Absolutely. If you've ever had to, I recently had to write a SQL query, writing standard queries. I feel like with some, Drupal developers kind of forget how to do that, but I had to write a query where I wanted to figure out on how many pages certain paragraph types were embedded into pages. So I had to kind of do this like massive query because there's so many tables. There's about 3 or 4 inner joins just for the basic paragraph. And then for every single field you do, it's another join or a left join to kind of get that information. It was a very messy query, but I got AI to write most of it anyway. I kind of cheated that way. Is it cheating? No, it's not. It's not cheating. Anyway. All right. So where were we?